Well, hello. It's Rob here, developer of touchscaper, and here with another touchscaper tips video. And today we're looking at new features in version 1.4.4, which by the time you're hopefully watching this will be available, rolling out in the App Store. So I had planned to make this a hardware demo today, but best laid plans and all that. Cut long story short, my hardware setup is currently in bits all over the floor, and I'm trying to work out how to put it back together again. So I thought, as I think some of you are keen to see the new stuff in the sequencer, I do a demo anyway and do it all in AUM. So what you heard in the intro there was basically a little thing I put together just showing you some of the new sequencer synth options for MIDI out. And let us just kind of drill down a little into the setup I have running here. So I've got two instances of the TAL Uno. Let's just take that out. I had a little bit of ping pong delay going on there for a bit of added spice. So what I've got here is basically two kind of contrasting sounds. Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time crafting these, but anyway. The main thing is that you can hear that they're pretty different. Now, just peeling it all back a little, if we go to our MIDI connections now, we see we've got two new sources here, sequencer synth A and B. And you've got a couple of several options to how A and B are handled when you have them connected up to a MIDI destination. So right now I've got them both going through AUM because we're in AUM and we want to do the routing within AUM. You don't have to use both. If you just use one, the app should behave as it did previously before we added the additional B source. So everything should be backwardly compatible. Obviously, let me know if you have any issues with that. So pretty standard stuff, I think. Hopefully you've seen the AUM-centric videos before, and we've covered off that. But just in the interests of kind of joining the dots, if we look in our MIDI sources, we see we've now got this TAL going to sequencer synth A, and we've got this one going to sequencer synth B. Sorry, it's quite hard to say that. Animoog is here just because Animoog is always hanging around like a trusty friend. We might use Animoog a bit later to show off the new Mpe ribbon support, which is also in 1.4.4. Okay, so hopefully that's you guys happy with the routing. I don't need to go into any greater detail. Back into touchscaper mode. Let me just quickly check something. Yep, we're all good. I'm just making sure that we were in kind of bright monochrome mode. As in the previous video I wasn't, and it looked a little washed out. We get better contrast in this mode. Some things might be a little bit not quite clear because you've got dark grey on light grey kind of stuff going on. I'll try and call that stuff out when it's just so that you can see exactly what's going on, or hear exactly what's going on if you can't see exactly what's going on. You know what I mean. Right, so let's kind of peel this back a little and look at our... Let's mute the drums for now. I was using the internal 909 touchscaper drum sounds. Let's take a look at this synth sequence. So we've got no probability going on, and we've got something on every step. Now if we look at our settings now for the sequencer synth, if I drag it down there, we should still be able to see it when we look at the, there we go. If we look at the synth sequence, by default, the sequencer synth setup will be in high-low split. So this is influenced by the SMARP option, which, if you don't know, is kind of a messy acronym for Smart Arpeggiator. Excuse me. And what that does is it basically splits the high and low notes. So it will treat low notes as any steps in the bottom 3 lanes and high notes as any step in the top 3 lanes. So you can get basically steps here will have a different sound to steps here. So high-low split on the MIDI side of things is the same. So basically it means that if you're in split mode, your A sequencer synth is going to get the top 3 lanes, the high notes, and your B sequencer synth is going to get the bottom 3 lanes. And we can kind of, if we mute, you might not be able to see that clearly, but I've muted the lower three lanes of the sequencer here. So you should only now hear sequencer synth A, which, if you remember, was that kind of slightly more buzzy synth sound. So let's have a listen to that. Yeah. And if we bring in the lower 3 lanes and mute that C5 row, we'll just hear sequencer synth B, which is on a sort of rubbery, lovely classic tuner bass sort of squelch. We bring this guy in. Okay, so hopefully you might find that quite handy. Like I say, very similar to SMARP in the internal sounds. So we've got a few other things that we can do. I can transpose A and B now independently. So if we bump A down an octave, it's actually going to be more in this territory, in this C4 octave instead of C5 octave. So it sounds like this. And we can also bump up sequencer B an octave. So now they're kind of overlapping, which also might be interesting. There's some other intervals we can use, like the classic up 7, down 5 semitones. That generally works. I should have planned this out a bit more carefully. I kind of do these things just on the spur of the moment when I get a window, so to speak. If we go into Unison Mode, which I used at the end of the demo, and let's just mute all but the low row there. So Unison is kind of just like everything goes to both sequences now. So if we listen to that, pretty intense here. But if we bump up the buzzy one, so we got that up an octave, or we can just have it up a fifth. And if we want, we could transpose the B synth up an octave, so we still get that interval. Which is your classic kind of stabby power chord kind of vibe. Let's just put them back to where they were and look at ping pong mode, and we'll tell you what, let's have those guys muted. Sorry, you probably can't see that very clearly. Let's just have our C5 ARP going, and we're back on high-low split. Now let's put it in ping pong. So you can hear it kind of going between one and the other. We can verify that here. We can see it kind of bouncing between the two A and B virtual ports. if we go to random, that's going to kind of do the same thing except on a random basis. And that gets interesting if you bring in notes in a different register. We bring them all in. And maybe transpose. Obviously, you might want to dial that back if you actually wanted to do something that could be considered music, but for the purposes of this demo, hopefully you get the general idea there. So that is the new sequencer synth options, and hopefully you can have some fun with that. I hope you like it, and this may well grow. Now, the other thing that's coming in 1.4.4 that I wanted to talk about was Mpe Support. I'm just putting that back so I know where I am, kind of thing, for the ribbon. And we've got that already assigned, I believe. Again, AUM. Now we've got the option to use Mpe for the ribbon. And you may have noticed earlier I have Animoog up and running, and I have got that assigned to the virtual ribbon port. So let's just have a quick listen to that. I've shown you this before, but just as we're covering 1.4.4 features, I thought it might be handy for completeness to kind of look at that. So here's the Animoog on the ribbon. Actually, let's just turn off pitch bend because there's enough stuff going on there, I think, already. Now, of course, as you know, I keep banging on about Mpe, but one of the nice things you can do with it now on the ribbon is this sort of thing. So it's really nice for sort of so hopefully you'll find that quite expressive. I think it feels really nice kind of under your fingers. It's pretty fun to play with. So that is pretty much it for the new 1.4.4 features. There's a bunch of other kind of little fixes and tweaks in there. Let me know what you think. Not sure what's coming next. I'd really like to do that hardware demo because I've got some fun things to kind of show you with that if you're into hooking up your iPad to the outside world. I think all that remains to say is thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support, comments and questions. As always, most welcome. I think I'm just going to kind of close out now with a little noodle doodle, if that's okay. Keep safe, keep well, and I'll see you for another touchscaper tips before too long. Okay, I'm going to have a noodle. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye for now.